Hey, I'm looking for Brandy.
Who is it?
Oh, it's Lulu. I came here to pick up your ballot.
Oh, what do you mean?
Yeah, we're offering this new service, but only to like people who are supporting the Democratic Party. It's a service. I'm just here to pick up your ballot and show you how to do it if you don't know.
You came here to pick up my ballot.
Yeah, yeah, it's new. The bill just passed last year at the end, so there's been a problem with like people like half the ballots that were mailed out last year didn't get back. A lot of people weren't signing the envelope in the back and stuff, but
Never get my
okay.
I even filled it out. I never really ballot.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can show you the bill that was passed and stuff. It's not like I'm gonna take it and fabricate it, but it has to be sealed and it has to be signed for me to even touch it. Um,
How would I even know that they get
okay,
I don't know.
that's okay.
Hey guys, welcome back to another today's video. In this video, it's going to be another discussion video. In this discussion video, it's going to be talking about the overall problems with mail-in voting and ballot harvesting in general. But before I begin, let's break down what ballot harvesting even means. So ballot harvesting or ballot collecting is defined as the gathering and submitting of absentee ballots by volunteers or workers. Um, this practice has occurred in some states in the U.S. where ballot harvesting is common, like in North Carolina, where a Republican political operative was caught tampering and improperly collecting the ballots to help the Republican Mark Harris win the North Carolina 9th congressional district election. As well, it's also commonly occurred in my home state of California because of Assembly Bill 1921 that was signed by former Governor Jerry Brown back in 2016 that changed the state's vote by mail procedures, where it now makes it legal for any individual or third party to collect a person's ballot. So this means a Democratic political operative or Republican political operative can walk um, can can go to someone's house and say if and request to hand over your ballot so we can collect so we can take it to an election office for you, or we can help you fill it out for you as well. But opponents of AB 1921 even argue that anyone can walk into an election office with a truckload of votes, buy mail envelopes with people's ballots inside without asking no question or having zero verified records kept. Where this group that opposed the Assembly Bill argues it's an open invitation to large-scale vote buying, voter coercion, granny farming, and automated vote forgery. Granny farming is a practice in which political operatives seek out massive groups of senior citizens to help them request mail-in ballots and then assist them in filling their ballots out when they arrive. Granny farming was used in Florida, where, according to Eggers, a blind man testified in the Sunshine State that didn't fill out his ballot, and someone filled it out for him against his own wishes. Even as well. Ballot harvesting has even been proven in the 2018 election in California, where, as you saw in the short, brief video in the beginning of this discussion video, in which the girl named Lulu was recorded for trying to harvest what she thought were a Democratic voter's ballot in Representative Nine's district in California's 25th district. For instance, she even said in the video, "This new service, but only to like people who are supporting the Democratic Party." So you can kind of know that she's trying to really harvest someone's ballot and tamper with someone's ballot to probably help the Democrats win an election back in 2018. As well, another prominent example in California is in California's 39th district. And on election night, young Kim held a 8,000 vote lead over her Democratic opponent, opponent. I don't think I can pronounce his name. Um, Plus, she even attended the freshman orientation in Washington, D.C. before watching her lead or victory slowly evaporate over the coming days and weeks. As well, but this Also, even in 2018 in Orange County, Democratic volunteers came by a traditionally Republican household 4 times to ask for their 18-year-old daughters that was a no party preference voter if she wanted them to pick up her signed and complete ballot. Um, Orange County in the last election had about a 8,000 estimated 250,000 harvested ballots, which were dropped off on election day alone. Even in California, individuals that do collect ballots are not required to be registered voters and not required to identify themselves at a voter's home. And 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 overall, I think that encourages like just way too much fraud in a way for one side to actually help them win an election, so that they can. I lean a little bit more Republican, and I would tend to vote a little bit more Republican than I do Democrat. Um, so I can go to someone's home and I don't have to identify myself. I can say I'm here just to here to pick up your ballot, and I and so and I can do whatever with it because it's left unchecked once someone hands a third party their ballot, because you don't know what that third party is going to do with that ballot. They might tamper with it. They might throw it out, destroy it, and there's absolutely nowhere evidence of them destroying it. But it still happens either way. As well, based on the Pew Research Center study, it roughly shows that 24 million voters are no longer valid, and even according to Judicial Watch, there's about 462 counties in America where voter registration outnumbers the amount of people who actually live in that county as well. Um, but not to get off topic here, I honestly think ballot harvesting needs to be really addressed because it's going to undermine the integrity in our elections overall and and our democracy. I believe we should preserve a free and fair election. I think ballot harvesting is a threat to that, and as well, plus, the state of California doesn't, with when it comes to mail-in voting, the state of California doesn't keep track of how many ballots are harvested in an election. Even ballot harvesting invites electioneering activities and also creates the possibility of undue influence over voters by political operatives. Um, this overall, I actually think realistically, we need to address battle harvesting, and that's why I agree and support the House Republicans' Election Fraud Prevention Act that would prevent states that allow ballot harvesting, such as California, from receiving federal funds through the Election Assistance Commission. Only people who would be allowed to collect and deliver other people's ballots to election offices would be U.S. Postal Service employees, officials that are authorized to deliver mail to even a family member, household member, or even a caregiver of the person of whom that ballot was mailed to will only be allowed to collect slash deliver other people's ballots to be counted at an election office. As well, yeah, um, overall I support this act because I believe it's a good start of fixing the major problem with mail-in voting or AK ballot harvesting. I think realistically we should take away we should completely ban third parties or anyone to collect a ballot, anyone's ballot. I believe it should only be um, strictly authorized to unique people like U.S. Postal Service employees or other officials that are all authorized to deliver mail. So it's left kept checked. Questions are asked, and we can keep the ballots verified in an election office to make sure there was no fraud in an election. As well, there would be I would add just a couple more things to this bill, such as individuals that do collect ballots have to be required to be registered voters. They must identify themselves at a voter's home, and when some people walk into an election office, questions have to be asked. In all verified records must be kept to prevent fraudulent voting and making sure no one tampered with someone's ballot. As well, have a lot more polling stations where people can vote in person so their voice is more secure, and require all voters to show ID before they can be handed a ballot at their local polling station. I just think, in my opinion, even in this upcoming election, I'm not going to be voting by mail. I don't like the idea of voting by mail too much. I prefer just voting in person because I feel like my vote is secure, and I just feel like going to a polling station and being able to handed a ballot it just feels like we're actually including everyone in the process of voting and voting for people that we want to see to be elected into office. I just feel like it's going to be where it's going to we're just going to include everyone and making sure everyone has a voice, and we can give people a feeling that they're all a part of something. They're all making a difference, and that's what I think voting in person could do. I think it's a more secured way of preserving our democracy and our free and fair election. Not to say that I'm against mail-in voting or ballot harvesting, mail-in voting in general. I think mail-in voting is a good thing if we want to make sure voter turnout, if we want to increase voter turnout overall to 100% turnout, and I but we also have to keep in mind that it's going to lead to vast amounts of problems, like how in California, even in North Carolina, back in 2018, where a Republican political operative was caught tampering and improperly collecting ballots to help their Republican win and hold North Carolina's ninth congressional district election. That's thus one of the reasons why there was a special election in the district, because of a ballot harvesting. And even like just like how we saw it in California's 39th district, and even in the video with Lulu trying to harvest someone's ballot in California's 25th district also. But overall, all mail-in votes, and another thing I would add is that all mail-in votes have to be mailed and turned into an election office before SAS during election day at your polling place or an election office, so they can count mail-in votes and vote in person at the same time, and making sure all the votes and all the results are in um, after once after election night. You will know who will be the winner, unless if there's an instant runoff, multiple rounds of tabulation. Then it might take some time, but that's okay by me, as long they're not counting any more new votes after election night. But overall, guys, tell me your thoughts in the discussion. Do you agree that ballot harvesting is a threat to our democracy, or do you completely disagree with my rationale on mail-in voting? Honestly think mail-in voting is a good thing, but we have to find ways to address it, so it's not so it doesn't undermine the integrity and the free and fairness of our elections and our democracy overall. But once again, guys, thank you so much for watching. And I'm the Young Centrist, and I am out.